SKOL Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fans, brace yourselves for this one. There is a quiet decision in special teams that might fly under the radar, but it carries real weight. There is a major conversation involving the direction of the offense. Pressure is knocking loud. A heavy rumor is circling a name that represents this fan base in purple and gold. There is roster movement that could open up a serious hole. And at the end of it all, an internal situation that shakes everyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. Stick with me because the final story completely changes the mood. Now, before we dive into all these stories, real quick, subscribe to the channel. Drop your opinion in the comments. This debate belongs to everyone, and your voice is a big part of it. So let us start with one of those decisions that looks small on the surface but hits deep for anyone who follows every detail. We are talking about a guy who almost never makes headlines. Still, he is the kind of player who keeps the entire operation running behind the scenes. When you look at how chaotic an offseason can get, holding on to someone like this becomes almost mandatory. The talk right now is the very real possibility that the Vikings re-sign Andrew DePaula, four-time All-Pro. And not the kind of All-Pro who flashes once and disappears. He has been stacking those honors since 2022, year after year. That tells you a lot. Long snappers only get noticed when something goes wrong. When everything is perfect, nobody says a word, and with him, things have been perfect for a long time. There is also the locker room factor. DePaula is not just the snapper. He is a respected voice. He is the player's representative. He is the bridge between veterans and younger guys. You know that player everyone trusts when things get tense. That is him. And with Matt Daniels running special teams, the tendency is to keep that pairing together. They are completely on the same page. Now let us be very clear. The cap is getting tight. The team is projected over the limit. Cuts and restructures are coming. It is the usual juggling act we have seen before. But long snapper is not a position that destroys your budget. You can pay well and still stay in control. And if there is one position where age does not scare people as much, this is it. DePaula is 38, pushing 40. The physical demands are different. There are guys around the league playing this role into their early 40s and still performing at a high level. And this is where the fan perspective comes in. Keeping DePaula is like making sure your house does not catch fire over something stupid. One bad snap in a big game becomes a nightmare. One blocked field goal can flip an entire season. I have seen way too much with this team to ignore that. And trust me, I did not need any more trauma. So if there is an easy yes on this list of decisions, this is it. Another thing worth noting is when an insider like Alec Lewis calls this the simplest call on the list. That means the idea is already solid inside the building. It is not a promise, but it is a clear signal that the team knows where it cannot afford to get cute. Let me know in the comments what you would do. Do you pay to keep the best long snapper in the league? Or do you gamble and hope for the best? Me, in my old and stubborn way, I want security here. And get ready, because if this story is about stability, the next one is the complete opposite. Big rumors, real noise, and a conversation that could flip the offense upside down. This one made fans raise an eyebrow immediately. This is not a small maybe type rumor. This is the kind of talk that if you bring it up at a bar, someone is spilling their drink. And the idea is simple. This team is in a hurry to win. In the NFL, being in a hurry usually comes at a high cost. The conversation started with a reporter who covers the 49ers. That is Grant Cohn. He said he heard that Minnesota would be willing to put together a massive offer for an elite quarterback. That is not the kind of thing you just brush off. This roster has talent right now. The window does not stay open forever. The name that eventually enters the picture is Joe Burrow. Yes, that Joe Burrow. The rumored offer would include J.J. McCarthy, Jonathan Greenard, and 2 first-round draft picks going to the Bengals. That is full all-in mode. It feels like a video game trade. And even if this is only back-channel chatter, it shows real anxiety on Minnesota's side. I understand the logic. Burrow is the kind of quarterback who raises the level of an offense just by stepping on the field. He reads defenses fast. He stands in against pressure. He does not blink in January. But there is a massive question here. Would Cincinnati really let a franchise quarterback walk like that? As a longtime skeptic, I have a hard time buying it. But the fact that this is even being discussed tells you no one is sitting around patiently waiting for development. And that brings us to the delicate situation with McCarthy. The line is that he will have a normal offseason, fine, but the pressure is still there. There were good games. There were games that were hard to watch. He finished with 1,632 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions in 10 games, according to StatMuse. When you put that on the table, you understand why the team wants a safety net. No one wants to waste the prime years of a roster that is ready now. The fan base is split down the middle. Some say let the kid grow. Others are yelling to bring in a shark right now. The risk I see is losing premium draft picks and opening holes on defense at the same time. 2 first-rounders disappear fast. And if it blows up, you are stuck. There is more fuel on the fire. Kyle Rudolph said it was a mistake not to give the kid real competition last season. He talked about bringing in a veteran to push him. And along those same lines, Cohn mentioned that if the Burrow plan dies, a return of Kirk Cousins could be on the table. Just typing that, I can already hear half the fan base sighing. The other half is groaning. I am somewhere in the middle. Here is my straight-up fan read. If the Vikings truly want to contend now, they need a clear plan A. They also need a clear plan B that does not turn into a soap opera. And they need to protect McCarthy mentally. Either he is the guy and you commit, or you own the change and stop pretending. Sitting on the fence wrecks a locker room. And keep this thread in mind, because when the talk shifts to winning now, something even crazier always follows. The next story involves the biggest name on the offense, and that is when things really heat up. All right, this is the part that always sets group chats on fire. When winning now becomes the obsession, people start floating ideas about touching what should be untouchable. That is when fans in purple and gold say, "Here we go again." Over the past few days, speculation popped up involving Justin Jefferson. It did not start in Minnesota, it came from California. Tim Kawakami from the San Francisco Standard floated the idea that the 49ers have the draft capital and cap space to attempt something massive. He mentioned at least 2 first-round picks as a starting point. But fantasizing is one thing, a real situation is another. Then Grant Cohn enters the picture again. He said he reached out to a source close to the Vikings. He asked directly if there was any chance the team would trade Jefferson. The answer he got was 0%. Then the source doubled down with a dramatic flourish. They called it a negative chance. The message could not be clearer. This team is not rebuilding. It is not putting the face of the franchise on the market. From my perspective as a longtime fan, this rumor exists because the quarterback position drives everything. If J.J. McCarthy develops slowly, people will always try to line up timelines, windows, and urgency. Kawakami wrote that the team's timeline is messy because of the quarterback situation. He added that a player in his prime like Jefferson will not want to wait forever for consistent quarterback play. Jefferson has not hinted at wanting out, but these conversations grow when the league smells uncertainty. On this side, I do not buy it. Jefferson is the identity of the offense. He is the kind of player you build around, not the kind you sell to reset the clock. If Minnesota trades him, you do not just lose yards. You lose respect. You lose the fear defenses feel before the snap, and that is hard to replace. There is, however, a more grounded angle. Cohn said that if the 49ers want a Vikings wide receiver, the more realistic target would be Jordan Addison. That is a different conversation. Addison is talented, but he is not the symbol of the team. There is also talk that the Buffalo Bills could be interested in him as well. That feels like a normal market fight, and this is where I will say it. Only here do you get this kind of Vikings fan read without the fluff. Jefferson is not trade bait, but the noise around him is a warning that the team has to solve the quarterback situation fast. Otherwise, the league will keep trying to force these ideas down their throat. Talk to me in the comments. Do you see this rumor as smoke or as real internal pressure to win now? I am laughing nervously over here, because the next story flows right into this. It is not about the untouchable star. It is about who might actually leave and quietly thin out the offense. You know what bothers me about this time of year. You blink, and suddenly the depth chart has a hole in it. And it is not always because of stars. Sometimes it is the guy who does the dirty work and shows up when needed. The name that keeps coming up here is Jalen Nailor. Alec Lewis from The Athletic made a pretty grim prediction. He said Nailor will leave in free agency in March, and it hurts because he is not just another body. In the 2025 season, he played all 17 games. He dealt with a broken hand during training camp. He still pushed through. And the stat that really stands out is that he dropped only 1 pass all year. 1. That is trust. Lewis also pointed out something people forget. Nailor knows multiple positions in Kevin O'Connell's system. This offense is heavy on adjustments, reads, and routes that change on the fly. Having someone who understands all of that is huge. And there is the physical side. He blocks in the run game. He sticks his face in there, no finesse. Then you connect this to the ongoing rumor mill. While Jefferson is off limits, the name that keeps popping up in trade conversations is Jordan Addison. That changes the board. If Addison leaves, keeping Nailor becomes even more important. But according to Lewis, the Vikings never seriously talked extension during the season. The result is an open market. When the market opens, teams show up with bigger offers than you planned for. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah factors into this too, even indirectly. Lewis called Nailor one of the best late-round hits of Kwesi's tenure. That matters to me. because players like that are hard to find cheap and ready. But when you look around the league, you see the concern. Teams need wide receivers. Teams have money. NFC teams will pay for a guy who knows how to play. And you start asking yourself if this is really going to come down to details. Speaking plainly, this is the kind of departure that drives fans in purple and gold crazy. It is not about highlights, it is about management. And when you miss here, you pay for it on third down in December. To make it worse, Grant Cohn also said the Vikings want to keep Naylor. He tied that directly to being open to trading Addison. According to him, because the team would not pick up Addison's fifth-year option, they would listen to offers. He added even more fuel by saying the Bills are also looking at Addison, along with the 49ers. That part feels very realistic. Good teams always want weapons. So the picture looks like this. If Addison stays, maybe the Vikings think they can survive without Naylor. If Addison goes, losing Naylor too would be a double hit. That is where my concern really kicks in. This is no longer internet noise. This is a prediction from people who know what is going on. And keep this next part in mind, because now the story moves away from who stays and who leaves. It shifts into real internal tension. The next one hits the coaching staff. And there are words from inside that you cannot ignore. There are moments when no game is being played, and you still feel the impact. When the background cracks, it casts a shadow over the locker room. This story has that bitter taste of realizing something had been brewing. The week started with good news. The Vikings re-signed defensive coordinator Brian Flores. For me, that was a relief. The defense has an identity. It is aggressive. It has teeth. But the NFL never stops. Flores is still in the mix for head coaching openings. If he leaves, that new contract means nothing. The team is back to square one. Then came an unexpected wrinkle. A former insider, someone who spent years inside the building, opened a small door. Not with a loud attack, but with something worse. A careful comment that makes you imagine the rest. That person is Mike Pettine. He recently retired, relatively young for that move. He spoke on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. When asked about Flores, he said there were not many things he would prefer to share. He said they did not see eye to eye on many issues. He added that he would take the high road. Being completely honest with you, that flips on a bright warning light. We already know Flores is demanding. He pushes hard. Some players grow from that. Others shut down. And apparently even coaches can clash with him. When someone like Pettine talks this way, it signals real friction. Real friction in the NFL does not disappear just because the defense is playing well. To be fair, Flores delivers results, period. Plenty of franchises want that. But when owners and general managers are hiring head coaches, they look at fit, leadership, and how a coach treats people. Public comments like this can be used against him, especially with a history of similar complaints elsewhere. From the Vikings side, I see two paths. 1, he stays and the defense keeps rolling. 2, he leaves and the heart of that unit goes with him. And I will tell you this, I do not want to relive the constant coordinator shuffle again. I have seen that movie too many times. The bill always comes due. There is one factor working in favor of him staying. Reports suggest that while he is a candidate, clear frontrunners have already emerged for several jobs. He is not among them. That raises the odds he remains for at least one more season. But now this Pettine noise is out there. Once noise gets in, it does not leave easily. This turns the conversation into something bigger than Flores alone. The Vikings are at a point where they need stability. They also need a healthy environment. The defense can be strong. The locker room can be united. It has to be both. Otherwise, every promise about 2026 becomes just another excuse. That is why I say this. After safe snaps, massive trade rumors, talk of an untouchable star, and the possible loss of offensive depth, Pettine's words are the kind that shake everything. They hit internal trust. And now it is time to tie this entire discussion together the right way, without dragging it out. When you put all of this together, you can feel that 2026 is not going to wait for anyone. You have the Vikings trying to lock down details that win games. That includes keeping Andrew DePaula and avoiding stupid mistakes. You have wild trade rumors involving Joe Burrow that show urgency. You have Justin Jefferson's name being used in outside fantasies, with the internal response basically saying forget it. You have the risk of losing Jalen Naylor and quietly thinning the offense where it hurts. And you have Brian Flores caught in the middle of backstage noise with Mike Pettine that makes everyone wonder about the atmosphere inside the building. I will make a bold statement. If the Vikings get 2 or 3 of these decisions right now, they can truly contend. If they get them wrong, it becomes another almost season, and I am done with almost. I am getting older, but I am still stubborn. So drop your thoughts in the comments. This space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. Which of these stories worries you the most, and which one gives you hope? Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings. Let's go!